Welcome to the Stronger Marriage Podcast. We're Trey and Lee Morgan.
Glad you have joined us. We're excited to just talk about some things that are going on in our world, and we feel like we got a neat topic today.
Yeah, we do. We're going to talk a little bit about sexual changes as you age. The older you get, what kind of happens and what you can expect, and maybe how to deal with some things that go on. And those are all things that I think need to be brought out. We were inspired by this podcast idea from...
Yeah, so we like to listen to a podcast that's called Sex Talk for Christian Wives. Trey's not a wife, but he finds it pretty interesting to hear some discussion from the female point of view.
Yeah, so it's just so good.
It's a little bit eye-opening for him, and then it gives us some things to talk about. But they talked about this on a podcast that we listened to, and we were traveling, preparing for sexual changes as you age. And we thought that's some really good things that need to be discussed. It's some things that you can, maybe prepare for a little bit ahead of time. Maybe it's always good to expect things that might happen, just so you can be prepared. So we just wanted to give you some real talk today, right?
And so if you're looking for that podcast, our friend Jay Parker does that, and it's called Sex Talk for Christian Wives, and we enjoy it very much because it really is an eye-opener, especially as a man, to listen to it. Lee and I listen to it together when we travel generally, but we'll try to put that in the notes, a link to that podcast, but you can listen to them anytime, and hopefully you're enjoying the little summer quickies that we're doing. We've been having a 5-minute challenge on Wednesdays, and hopefully you're reading or listening to those. And then we're trying once a month to do a full episode, and that's what we're going to do today as we talk about preparing for some sexual changes as you age. And we've been married for 37 years, and so things have changed in our sex life. And why are we talking about this? Why is this a topic on a podcast when it would be a lot easier to avoid?
I think that a lot of Christians avoid some of these tough topics. There's some things that they feel embarrassed to say. Maybe they feel like it's not appropriate to say. But for whatever reason, there's not a ton of Christians that are talking about these things. But we just thought, hey, we're gonna get over the embarrassment, whatever. We're just going to have some real talk today because we really want to help someone who might be struggling with some of these things. Mm-hmm. So even though, we may say some things that are just, pretty open and out there, we're not sharing personal details about our sex life with you, but just, sometimes things are just uncomfortable to say.
Yeah,
but we're just gonna get over that because we want to help somebody.
And we get it. We grew up in homes that did not talk about sex, was not discussed much, and I guess the first part of our marriage we were a little uncomfortable talking about it. But talking about sex, we'll talk about this in a little while, is a very healthy thing for you to do in your marriage.
Yes.
Yeah. The couples who talk about sex are the ones that have the best sex life.
That's right.
So where do we want to start?
So let's just talk about some of the changes that you might experience as you age. The first one that comes up, and this medical issues, that can affect anybody at any age, really. But as you age, you tend to have more medical issues, more even aches and pains, joint pains.
There's just issues as you get older.
All kinds of things.
Medications that cause problems like erectile dysfunction. High blood pressure medicine does that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. There's medications that sometimes zap your sex drive. And so there's a lot of medical issues.
Even birth control. We've talked about this before. Birth control can affect your sex drive negatively, which is, that's something you're going to deal with when you're younger. But yeah, like you said, there's a lot of medications. There's a lot of medical issues. There's a lot of aches and pains that can just affect your desire for sex, and even, you know, maybe affect positions, preferred positions. You may have to get creative, right?
And things that used to work are uncomfortable now.
That's right. That's right.
Your knees get older, or maybe your back gets a little more tired, and you have to look for different ways and different positions. But in your marriage, if you want a healthy sex life, those are things that you're willing to do. Mm-hmm. You're willing to do those things because those are things that will bless your marriage.
That's right.
Especially if you or your spouse has a desire for sex, mm-hmm. and sometimes we meet folks, and both a husband and a wife will say, hey, we're past that, and both of us are okay that we're not doing that. We're okay with that.
Right. Keyword there is both.
Both, yes. and the key word there is both. But if there's a spouse that is still out here going, I would love to be sexually active with my spouse, then there needs to be some discussions had, mm-hmm. other than just, hey, sorry, this isn't going to work anymore. And we're going to talk about some of those possibilities of things that can help with this.
Yeah.
Another thing, what's another change that takes
hormones,
place?
That's a big one. As you age, hormones are going to affect your sexuality for men and women.
So tell me some things about women, and I'll throw in a couple of things about men.
You know, I mean, the big thing for women is going through perimenopause. It just affects so many things. It can affect your mood. It can affect your sleep. It can affect your sex drive. It can make things, just speaking very frankly, can make things very dry, can make things uncomfortable. It can even make things painful. But there's help for that. For men, it's, a low testosterone, mm-hmm. Different things like that. So there's hormone replacement therapy that's an option for men and women. Some people just think, hey, I'm not going to mess with that. That doesn't sound like any kind of road I want to go down. But we would just really encourage you to talk to your doctor. Maybe there's some things out there that can be helpful without hormone replacement, but at least seek some advice, mm-hmm. Do some research, find out if there is something, that can help.
Yeah,
either
that is right.
Yeah, either one of you or both of you. So
other than medical issues and hormones, stress is really hard on sex drives mm-hmm. in couples, and this can be even young couples.
Yeah,
stress from work, stress from life, stress from kids, stress from jobs, schedules. All of those things mm-hmm. are very, very hard. Stress is very hard on your sex life, and if you're feeling very, very stressed, your desire is probably going to be very, very low.
Very low. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
even though sex is very healthy for stress.
It is. It can be. God created our bodies in such an amazing way that when you have that sexual release, your body releases all kinds of endorphins, serotonin, mm-hmm. all these hormones your body releases. That is sort of they're feel-good hormones.
Yeah.
They're comfort hormones.
Yeah, they're healing. Yeah. There's just so many of those things that do that in there.
It's pretty amazing.
Sex is a very healthy thing, not just for your marriage, but for your body. And so when we're looking at those things, those are some changes that you might experience. Sometimes in medical issues or joint pain, sometimes there is pain for women in vaginal pain, mm-hmm. where it just hurts, or it's not comfortable.
Yeah,
and
that's what
sex
I said
should
earlier.
not hurt, and I didn't realize you said
mm-hmm.
that. And so you may look at that and go, hey, my doctor has just said there's nothing I can do. But one of the things we point out, we think it's very healthy for you to understand, is that sexual intimacy with your spouse doesn't always have to be vaginal penetration. Mm-hmm. To think that it's always vaginal penetration, actually, couples with very healthy sex lives, that's just an option.
Right.
And so you don't always have to have vaginal penetration to have sex with your spouse.
Yeah.
And so those are very healthy things to understand.
So that's just some of the real talk we want to say. Like, you may be thinking, wow, I never knew that. I never knew you could be sexual without vaginal penetration. You can be. So we just, like I said, we just want to be open. We want to be helpful during this podcast. So let's talk about maybe some ways that you can. Did you want to add anything else there before we go on?
No, I actually was really uncomfortable talking about what I just said. So.
Right. So we want to talk about maybe some ways that we can prepare for these changes while you're younger.
And when we say younger, understand this, I'm talking like if sex still works in your marriage, then you should be preparing for these things. Does that make sense? So you may be in your 40s or 50s and still be having frequent, healthy sex with your spouse, but we're not talking here in your 20s. We're talking about you're younger and things are still working, but here's some things you got to be prepared for. But if you are younger, this is important too.
I think this is something that needs to happen all throughout your marriage.
Okay.
No matter how old you are, you need to be thinking, okay, things are going to change all throughout our marriage. There's going to be different circumstances in our marriage, but these things that we want to talk about are going to affect your marriage or your sexuality in your marriage for the good, no matter how old you are.
Good point.
Okay, so let's talk about, the first one is to talk about it. Talk about sex together, because this was, as Trey mentioned, this was not something that came natural to us when we first got married, because we didn't grow up in homes that openly talked about sex. And so this is something that can bless your sex life in amazing ways when you are vulnerable enough to talk about it with each other.
Yeah. So frequent, open talk about sex is healthy. This is, we don't go around talking about it all the time, but we do have conversations about this. Traveling the other day, we had a long conversation about sex, which was very beneficial. Just to be able to talk about experiences, things, what works, what doesn't work. There was nothing embarrassing about it. You're very vulnerable when you do this. And so understand that if your spouse is talking to you about sex, they're being very vulnerable, so be very gentle with them during this time. But it is very, very healthy to discuss things. So if you can start early talking and being comfortable talking about sex, it's something that you need to do.
That's right. This one, I think, really, if you do this when you're younger and continue to do this, it will bless your sex life, and that is taking care of your body, taking care of yourself. This is not something you can just wake up when you're in your 50s and go, oh man. I mean, you can, but it's a lot harder to do when you realize I have really, really let myself go, and I need to make some huge changes. If you do this when you're younger and it becomes a lifestyle, it's going to bless you. Now, there are some medical things that are just going to happen that are out of your control. But a lot of things can be prevented if we just would be more, what's the word I'm looking for? Proactive at taking care of our health, taking care of our bodies, eating foods that are better for us. I hate to use the word diet.
Yeah, diets gets a bad.
People tend to think, I don't want to go on a diet. You can eat a lot of food.
Amazing
lot of food. If you eat the right kinds of food. So that's not what this podcast is about. But we just want to say, don't eat junk and expect yourself to feel good. Never, if you never exercise, that's going to affect your health. Your mental state and all of those things. So just take care of your body, eat good food, exercise. We need to be better at that for all kinds of reasons.
A lot of the things that we talked about earlier, eating right and exercise, walking, going to the gym, help prevent things like testosterone loss. It helps to prevent things like high blood pressure, where you have to take medicines that's going to cause, erectile dysfunction. Just go down the list.
Heart disease, Alzheimer's.
Exactly.
All of these things that
if you're taking care of your body, then basically you're delaying when all of these things are going to happen and when it starts affecting your sexual health in your marriage.
Right. Now, like I said, some of these things, your genes, some of these things are just genetic. But if you take care of your health, take care of your body, you can still potentially delay the onset of some of those things. So take care of yourself.
Yep.
Learn how to deal with stress. That's the next one.
That is. And that's so important that you learn how to do that.
We talked about how hard stress can be on on your sexuality in your marriage. You know, it just kind of makes you want to put it on the back burner. It can take over everything in your life. It can affect your health, your sleep, your mood, your libido. But if you can figure out how to deal with stress, find some stress coping mechanisms.
Oh, you know one of them? Exercise and
Exercise,
walking. That's
that's
right.
right. That's
Those
right.
are very healthy for stress.
Exercise. Yeah, it is. Maybe, you know, figure out what works for you. Taking a hot bath, making sure you get, you know, take some time off from work every once in a while. Don't be a workaholic. Get enough sleep. There's a lot of things you can do to help you deal with stress. So that's a big one, is, you know, figuring out those stress coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
And then this last one, things that you can do while you're younger is
just not just avoid, but get rid of pornography and temptation in your life. It is an artificial stimulant that will never. I guarantee you, if you have porn issues, you will never, ever, ever have a healthy married sex life, because your spouse won't measure up. Your body will never measure up. Your spouse's body will never measure up. The sex will never measure up. You just go down the list. It rewires your brain to see things. There are some people with porn addictions that literally cannot get turned on without pornography to help them get in the mood with their spouse. And porn is just so hard on your marriage. And so, step up and say, I will not be the person who allows myself to find artificial stimulation from things like pornography.
Yep. Okay. So that being said, we've talked about what are some changes you might experience, how to prepare for some of those changes while you're younger and as you age. So now let's just talk about some of the benefits of sex when you're a little bit older. We have written down benefits of aging sex. I don't know if I really like the way that's worded, but just
Sex has really gotten old.
Aging sex, but just benefits.
There are some pros.
There really, really are.
There are some really good things about. Now, I personally believe that if you do it right, things should get better sexually every year of marriage. Every year of marriage. I know. We're not here to talk about our sex life, but I know every year we always talk about, I didn't think it could get better, or I didn't think it could be this good. And every year it gets better. And there are some reasons for that. One of those is we have learned to talk about it, and talking about it really, really helps.
Yep.
But another one of those is as you get older, you spend more time together. Whether you're empty nest and you don't have the kids around, or maybe you've begun to retire, whatever it is, when you get more time together, it is really, really good for you, because all of a sudden you get to connect more with your spouse. And so one of the benefits of getting older is being able to spend more time together. And that really does help.
It really does. Another one is that I'll let you do this.
Okay, I will continue to do it.
I think this
so
one is
as
yours.
You get older, so the difference between in men, young men and older men, is one of the problems young men have is premature ejaculation. And so a lot of them struggle in marriage of things happen too quick. As you get older, it kind of reverses a little bit, and you have something oftentimes called delayed ejaculation. And what that means is you can go a long time. And so that is really beneficial in marriage, sometime, to be able to go a long time in order to see that your spouse is sexually satisfied. And so it's not a bad thing. Now, if you're having issues with delayed ejaculation to where you're not having that orgasm at all, then you need to probably talk to your doctor, because they can do some things to help with that.
You probably don't want to talk to your daughter.
Don't talk to your daughter.
Talk to your doctor, not your daughter. Okay. Yeah.
And so, then you'll have to have counseling and pay for that. But so being able to, another thing in there is, and this fits in there as well, by this time you have learned what your spouse likes and doesn't like, what works and doesn't work. For us, 37 years of getting to know one another sexually, we know each other really, really well. And so you take a couple that's married 6 months and maybe don't talk about things a whole lot. They're still in the process of learning things. In fact, we meet young couples all the time that go, hey, the sex thing is fun, but it's not as great as y'all make it out to be. And we're like, just hold on. As you mature in your marriage, things gets a whole lot better. And so you get to know one another, not just physically, emotionally, spiritually, but also sexually over in time. And so that's a very good thing.
So another benefit is that you kind of just get over body image. You know, we just get so consumed sometimes when we're younger about having to look a certain way, feeling bad about the way we look. You know, I know that getting older, I mean, things are more wrinkly, more sagging, more, you know, all the things. But you kind of just, after being married for a long time, you just think, you know what, we're both in the same boat. We're both dealing with those things. And so you kind of just get over that.
Yeah. And we want you to understand, you still want to take care of your body.
Yes.
I want to look my best for my spouse, but I also, my body is much older now than it was when it was 24 years old.
Yeah.
And so things change and you get over that body image, and that helps a whole lot. That's one of the things I think that Jay Parker and the ladies on Sex Talk for Christian Wives really pointed out, which was a very healthy thing to do. Because this is a much more big deal for women than it is for wives than it is for husbands.
It very much is.
And I will remind you, wives out there, the things you see that are flaws, your husband probably doesn't notice, and he doesn't care. He's just excited that he gets to spend time with you.
Yeah. So the last benefit is that really you're pretty much just more comfortable with all of it. You know, you're just less inhibited. You've grown to know each other. That's what intimacy is. That's what it's all about. Is getting, you know, growing comfortable together, getting to know each other in that way so that you are uninhibited. And that is the true goal right there.
Yeah, it is. You want to get to the point to where you are just really comfortable with your spouse. Sex, the way God designed it, was to connect you and reconnect you with your spouse over and over and over. And I think that's so important. It is celebrating the vows and the covenant you made with your spouse, and renewing those every time that takes place. It's telling your spouse, when you're sexual, you're telling your spouse, I desire you, I love you, you're important to me, and everything else. Those are just such important things.
It is. So we found that couples that have the best sex do these three things.
Yeah, they talk about it openly and frequently. We've talked about that. That's a very healthy thing to do.
They prioritize sex even when they're tired means, maybe stressed, like we talked about.
What that means is are there nights where you go, I'm exhausted and I'm going to bed? Absolutely, do that.
Yes.
But you don't do that all the time. Sometimes we prioritize sex over sleep. There are times I know that we're tired, but it's been a while and we know this is going to be healthy for our marriage, and what is a little bit more time together, missing sleep. And every time, there's never been a time where we've thought, well, that wasn't worth it.
Right.
Every time it's always, I'm glad we did that.
Yeah.
And so prioritize sex even when you're tired. And then another thing, this is a Gottman Institute study, and I think this is so important, is couples that have the best sex life, they touch each other every day without expectation. And what that means is they're just touchy. Yeah, it's walking by your spouse and patting them on the back. It's holding their hand. They touch all the time. And touch is so healthy. It's just your way of just going, hey, you're mine and I love you and I can hold your hand and I can kiss you on the forehead and whatever it is. Touch is so healthy. And so touch every day. It just should be something that's a part of your marriage where you're touching one another. Roommates don't touch. Soulmates touch. And if you have a connection with your spouse, then you want to touch them. You want to snuggle up next to them on a couch. You want to hold their hand in the car. All of those things that are very, very healthy to do. Flirt a little bit.
Yeah.
And we flirt. And it doesn't mean on days where we flirt a lot, doesn't mean we have sex on those days. But it's a part of our desire in our marriage to go, I love you, I want you, you're mine, and, you're valuable to me.
Yeah, very good. So hopefully we've said some things that will help you, that will give you some conversation to have with your spouse. There's some things that y'all can talk about together. Because you don't have to just dread things. Things don't have to change drastically as you age, but they are going to change. So we need to always be prepared for changes that are going to happen in life. And we do that. We do that with finances. We do that with retirement. We do that with all kinds of things. So why not something else that's an important part of our lives?
Your marriage is going to change all the time. You're going to go from being newlyweds to having children, to having toddlers, to having a kid in school, to having a kid in junior high and high school, to having multiple kids, to becoming one that leaves home and you're sending a kid off to college, to someday being empty nesters. Your marriage is always changing. And you got to be on top of these things.
Yep.
Can you tell us about some events that are coming up?
So, yes, we've got our big announcement that we made recently is that we are doing a seminar on the sand, or in the sand.
In Cancun.
In Cancun next February. I want to say that right. February, what are the exact dates?
25th through March 1st.
25th through March 1st. It's 4-night. Yes, 4-night stay at a resort in Cancun. We will have a couple of mornings where we do some marriage sessions. We're teaming up with our friends Wayne and Tammy Robertson, who do her shoes seminars. They have some great marriage wisdom to share. So you get to hear from somebody other than just Trey and I, a little bit different point of view there. But it's a lot of fun. You're going to have so much time to just hang out together, to relax. There's,
it's all inclusive.
Yeah.
All the food you can eat, everything.
Airport transfer. The only thing that is not included is your airfare. But everything else is included.
Yeah,
so,
come go with us to Cancun.
We'll put the link.
Actually, the link's on our webpage, treyandlee.com.
There you go.
Yeah, come join us. Also, coming up in August, we want you to know we're going to be in Breckenridge, Texas, August the 1st, Casper, Wyoming, August the 21st and the 22nd. Also in September, Athens, Texas, the 11th and 12th of September. So looking forward to that.
End of September, Fairfax, Virginia. So
actually,
we don't.
That'll be October.
Is that October right there?
That's October.
That's October. So that's a ways out. But if you live up in the Northeast,
Washington, D.C.
Because we don't get up that way very often.
That's right.
So that's one that you need to be planning for the first weekend of October. Fairfax, Virginia. Come see us.
Come join us. We'll continue to do little 5-minute marriage challenges every Wednesday. Join us. Thank you. Have a great day.
See y'all.